Chapter 7. Speaking of the Tarpana, libation of water for Brahman, and the Homa, oblation in fire for Brahman. Nidaga, having earlier told you about the holy bath and the mantra for the benefit of all, I shall now tell you about the daily Tarpana and the Homa, as expounded by the magnanimous Supreme Shiva. In all the world, in the Vedas and the scriptures, these weighty words are rare. Listen to this explanation with an attentive mind. The universe, even an atom thereof, is truly never existent anywhere, never. Only the certitude, supported by reasoning, that the Supreme Brahman, the seer only, exists externally. And I am that Brahman, according to the conclusion of the Rig and other Vedas, is itself the Tarpana. I am Brahman, which is all complete. I am Brahman, which is existence, knowledge, bliss. I am the Supreme Brahman, which is the entire substratum. I am Brahman with not an atom apart from me. I am Brahman, which is the peerless space of consciousness. I am the blemishless Brahman of the nature of the self. I am Brahman, which is formless. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature of the sorrowless mass of happiness. I am of the nature of the pure Supreme Self. I am of the nature that has no misconception. I am of the nature of the non-dual bliss. I am of the nature of the pure delusionless. I am of the nature of the supreme light, which is knowledge. I am of the nature of the one Supreme Brahman. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature of the incomparable. I am of the nature that cannot be enumerated as one, and so forth. I am of the nature of the unvariegated, pure absolute. I am of the nature suppler than space. I am of the nature of that which is rooted in itself. I am of the nature of existence alone. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which has nothing. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature that has no words to describe it. I am of the nature that is actionless. I am of the nature that is immobile like stone. I am of the nature that has no perceiver or perceived. I am of the nature that is afflictionless and indivisible bliss. I am of the nature of supreme liberation, which has nothing besides itself. I am of the nature of the infinite Supreme Brahman. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature that is ever full of bliss. I am of the nature that is ever peaceful. I am of the nature that is ever full of consciousness bliss. I am of the nature of the Supreme Shiva. I am ever of the nature of the Supreme Shiva, full of consciousness. I am of the nature that is generous and complete. I am of the nature that cannot be comprehended by anything. I am of the nature that has nothing in the least, not even an atom. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which is blemishless. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which has no qualities. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which is incomparable. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman, which is untainted. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman, which is limitless. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which is partless. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, which is without duality. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. There is nothing to be witnessed. I am not of the nature of a witness. As there is nothing to be seen and none to see, I am of the nature of the undisturbed only one. Kevala. As there is no liberation or bondage, I am of the nature that has no special trait. I am of the nature that has no seeing or other activities. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am the nature without body, senses, life, I, mind, intellect, thought, or ego. I am of the nature untouched even by a trace of the delusion, of name and form, which are the products of ignorance. I am of the nature of indivisible consciousness and beyond the reach of speech and words. I am of the nature of the afflictionless mass of supreme bliss. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature of the mass of existence, consciousness, bliss. I am of the nature of the eternal void. I am of the nature of the great complete silence. I am of the nature of the one changeless self. I am of the nature of the exalted fourth state. I am of the nature transcending the fourth state. I am of the nature that has none of these. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am of the nature that is devoid of mutation like birth and such. I am of the nature that is devoid of vacillating action. I am of the nature that has no waking, dream, or deep sleep states. I am of the nature that is devoid of the Viswan, totality of experiencer of the waking state and such. I am of the nature rid of the three bodies. I am of the nature that has no world, individual, and the supreme. I am ever of the nature of the supreme Brahman. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. I am ever of the nature of truth. I am of the nature of changeless consciousness. I am of the nature of attachmentless bliss. I am of the nature of non-duality without any second. I am of the nature of absolute liberation without bondage. I am of the exalted nature of the supreme space of consciousness. I am of the nature of the infinite supreme Brahman. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. What is seen as that, this, you, and I are not in the least present, not in the least. As for whatever appears anywhere, in whichever way, as the perceived, all those appearances are only the all-pervasive perceiver, Brahman. There is not the least doubt of this, I affirm. All this, I myself am the Supreme Brahman. This certitude of being Brahman is itself the Tarpana. Son, I have thus expounded the Tarpana to Brahman for the benefit of all. Whoever listens to this even once and understands becomes Brahman. Likewise, I shall now explain to you, Nidaga, the Homa to the Supreme Brahman. Listen with an unwavering mind. I am ever of the nature of the Supreme Brahman. I am ever of the nature of the Supreme Self. I am ever of the nature of the Supreme Shiva. I am ever of the nature of the highest of the high. I am ever of the nature of the supreme bliss. I am ever of the nature of the absolutely full. I am ever of the nature of wisdom. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the blemishless Supreme Brahman. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the eternal Supreme Brahman. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the all-pervasive Supreme Brahman. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the immaculate Supreme Brahman. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the undivided Supreme Brahman. Indeed, I am only of the nature of the Supreme Brahman, the meaning of the syllable Om. I am only of the nature of the formless Supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman of eternal bliss. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is peace. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is consciousness, bliss. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is full of consciousness. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is exalted. Indeed, I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is one alone. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is that. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which cannot be encompassed by thought. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman which is without blemish. I am of the nature of the Supreme Brahman which is without form. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman which is only awareness itself. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman which is actionless. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman which alone is. I am of the nature of Supreme Brahman which is invisible. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. I am never the body, never the senses. I am never the pranas, never the mind. I am never the intellect, never thought. I am never the ego. I am never the ignorance that is at the root of these. I am never the waker, the dreamer, or the sleeper. I am ever different from everything. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. I am never the triad of bodies like the gross body and such. I am not the experiencer of the world of beings. I am never the sheet of food and such. I am never the experiencer of these. I am never an accumulation of the past. I am not any of the names and forms. I am ever different from everything. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. There is no listening and study for me. There is no thinking and reflection for me. There is no differenceless meditation for me. There is no undifferentiated absorption in meditation for me. There is no knowledge of the void for me. There is no non-dual liberation for me. I am the Supreme Brahman without a beginning. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. The triad of differences, internal and such, is unreal. The pentad of supple element is unreal. The tetrad of mind and others is unreal. The triad of time, such as the present and others, is unreal. The triad of different qualities is unreal. The triad of God, such as Brahma, is unreal. I am ever of the nature of the Supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. All the Vedas are unreal. The scriptures are unreal. The meaning of the Vedas is unreal. All the elements are unreal. The world of the moving and unmoving composed of these elements is unreal. All differences are unreal. Objects considered separate because of such differences are unreal. I am the supreme devout of any anguish. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. All manner of philosophies are indeed unreal. All kind of worlds are indeed unreal. All kind of caste are indeed unreal. All kind of ashrama, order of life are indeed unreal. All kind of names are indeed unreal. All kind of forms are indeed unreal. I am the Supreme Brahman, devout of all. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. The knowledge derived from Vedas is also indeed unreal. The knowledge from the supple, intricate texts is also indeed unreal. All holy waters are also indeed unreal. All penance and charity are also indeed unreal. The guru and disciple are also indeed unreal. The mantra imparted by the guru is also indeed unreal. I am the invisible supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. All thoughts of dyads of opposites are indeed unreal. All duality is indeed unreal. The bondage-ridden body and such are indeed unreal. Various kinds of objects are indeed unreal. The experiences of the mind are indeed unreal. All results of actions are indeed unreal. I am the endless supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. What is extensively explained is also indeed unreal. What is avidly heard is also indeed unreal. What is seen as true is also indeed unreal. What is felt without certainty is also indeed unreal. Every kind of appearance is also indeed unreal. Everything perceived is also indeed unreal. I am the peerless supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. What is seen as wrapped and woof in the unblemished supreme Brahman, which I am, is indeed unreal. All cost and effect in the untainted supreme Brahman, which I am, is indeed unreal. All the transient superimposition on the permanent supreme Brahman, which is myself, are indeed unreal. I am the supreme that has none of the sentient. This I am Brahman certitude is indeed the rare Homa. The full and the fragment too are indeed unreal. The transient sorrow and happiness are indeed unreal. The vibrant and the delimited are indeed unreal. Merit and demerit are indeed unreal. Success and failure that occurs are indeed unreal. Happy gain and loss too are indeed unreal. I am the supreme Brahman, which is formless. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. Mind and other such entities too are indeed unreal. All being divisions too is indeed unreal. Variegated knowledge is indeed unreal. Variety of perception too is indeed unreal. The five supple sensations such as sound and others are also indeed unreal. The entire world of the moving and the unmoving is unreal. I am the faultless supreme Brahman. This I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. Son, all intrinsic meaning is unreal. All extrinsic explanation is also unreal. You who are devoted are also indeed unreal. I who am expounding am also indeed unreal. All others are also unreal indeed. The expanse of the world and individual is indeed unreal. I myself, the non-dual Brahman, this I am Brahman certitude is itself the rare Homa. The I am Brahman certitude is the purificatory path. The I am Brahman certitude is the mantra. The I am Brahman certitude is the tarpana. The I am Brahman certitude is the Homa. Son, the I am Brahman certitude is all the prescribed duties. Hence, the seeker after liberation should daily, incessantly practice the I am Brahman certitude. Thus have I explained all these, from the holy bath to the Homa and others, as this was expounded to me by the Supreme Shiva. There is no doubt about what I have said. This is the truth. I affirm by the feet of the Lord, who is radiantly all-pervasive, that what I have told is the truth. Whoever lovingly listens attentively and understands this, even once will become Brahman, that in which all the world arises and dissolves, by which are revealed the various luminaries, like the shining sun, moon, fire, stars, and lightning, but which cannot be revealed by them, in awe of which the gods and demons perform their respective actions. Upon this nature of pure knowledge, the Supreme Shiva, you should meditate, eschewing all transient object of perception. I am myself the Supreme Shiva, the undivided knowledge. This uninterrupted meditation is the prescribed worship. By this and with a good mind rooted in truth, one can realize the Supreme Shiva. It cannot be known in its purity by any other means. Hence, you should always meditate upon the Supreme Shiva with devotion as instructed by the Guru. Those who have not realized that I am ever Brahman, which is the substratum of all, existence, knowledge, bliss, do not cross the ocean of transmigration and reach its shore, which is the one Supreme Shiva, and attain bliss. Hence, one should realize the Supreme Shiva as explained. Thus the great sage Ribhu lovingly and elaborately explained Nidaga, until all doubts in his mind were resolved. The bondage effacing Tarpana and the Homa in the manner expounded by the Supreme Shiva, who is ever the Lord of all the universe, and who benignly bestows upon all the agreeable boons of enjoyment and liberation, and any kind of aim in life. It is the perfectly full form of our Lord in joyous dance that gave the exposition of the Tarpana to Brahman and the Homa to the Supreme, that I am ever the seer without any objects to see, the differenceless Supreme, the all-complete and undivided, the serene of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss.